30 and 35 members or thereabouts. So that's what we can anticipate. I've just sent out, I see there are 11 people in the class now, but you will find that, oddly enough, in the period 5 past to 7 minutes past 6, you will see 10 to 15 people arrive.
Okay, that's okay.
So look forward to that. I will take my leave. Thank you.
Right. Okay,
Thanks very much. We'll chat in the morning. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Doug. Thank you so much for the invitation. Well, colleagues and ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to be presenting you tonight a simple talk and discussion on digital business strategy. Let me load my presentation, and then I will. Then thereafter we will then start our discussions. So let me just give me a minute so that I can be able to share the presentation. Right, I don't know whether you can see this from where you are. If someone can confirm, then I can proceed with the talk.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, this presentation is quite fascinating in bringing to our attention important issues concerning digital business strategy. And so I will be talking to you about that in the next few minutes, and then of course until the rest of the time that has been given for us, I'll share with you the agenda and specific areas that we're going to be discussing. So I think by way of introduction, what I want us to look at before I talk about the agenda, sharing the agenda with you, let us understand the background around us, that we are in an environment where artificial intelligence is taking much front and is actually getting more and more common in everyday life. And so even as businesses, we have to be looking at integrating artificial intelligence in a number of ways. This artificial intelligence is a special branch in computer science that is dominated by machine learning, big data analytics, and other methods to simulate the reasoning that a computer system normally does. So within the family of artificial intelligence, as you can see on the right there, machine learning is the main engine that defines the algorithms and methods that are used. And it gets more and more specialized as we go down to neural networks and deep learning, which you may have heard. But generative AI is one of the most popular angles of AI, which is now being used, and we see applications like ChatGPT being used almost every day. And ChatGPT is part of the generative AI, the innermost circle of artificial intelligence, where we are using natural language processing. We are using methods that enable us to use artificial intelligence in dealing with certain approaches that makes it easier for us to apply in business. There are a lot of applications of generative AI as one example of where artificial intelligence is used. But within that level where there is generative AI, that is the same level also that is of interest to the business world. This is why we are going to be discussing these issues today. The agenda that we have looks at, we'll talk about the introduction to digital business strategy framework, where we'll talk about the McKinsey framework so that we understand and appreciate what it's all about. Then we also talk about the strategic imperatives of digital transformation, which are the most important aspects and areas of digital transformation, certain things which we cannot do without. And that comes with the driving forces and enablers, just like as human beings are enablers to enabling a process to become true. We will then also talk about architecting a digital-first business model, we'll cover that so that we look at the kind of model that is appropriate in the business setup, innovative technologies, and business scalability, where artificial intelligence is now being used together with big data to access facilities in the cloud so that we can be able to leverage competitive advantage for our businesses and enterprises. The strategic leadership in digital economy is another area which we'll also cover in this discussion today, where there will be some mention of governance, agility, and change management, some of these broad issues that are of strategic importance at a strategic level in an organization. I think most executives in an organization are always naturally interested to see what is happening there. And then there will be a case study reflections, and we shall then also apply some of these case studies and applied insights where we pick up some best practices and lessons that we may learn from very common examples in the global scene. And then after that, then we will be looking at, we'll then conclude by looking at a strategic roadmap. These are some of the areas that are critical in this strategic conversation on digital business strategy, so that we understand what it is and some of the most important elements that people talk about. We will have some discussions at the very end. We'll open a lot of things to discussion. There will be discussion questions. I sensitive 3 questions that we will discuss. And also at the end of that discussion, or after each particular question, we'll also share with you certain approaches that can enable us to answer such questions more precisely as we deal with these issues that are there. So this is the agenda for today, looking at the digital business strategy. So I thank Dr. Dad for inviting me to come to talk to you about how we may integrate artificial intelligence and machine learning and big data analytics in the future of businesses as you apply that concept to the retail industry. And we will look at ShopRite as one good example. There's a little story around ShopRite that I will share with you now, so that we'll proceed. If you have any questions, you can put them on the chat, but also at the very end, I will have open discussions as we look at these issues that are there. Now, just to scan through, we may not be able to pick up all that in detail, but I picked up the background of our discussion is one where we are looking at a contemporary digital economy, where artificial intelligence is getting integrated together with machine learning and big data analytics. These always come together as a way of coming up with a transformative paradigm. So this approach is changing the way we do business, and through a kind of a comprehensive analytical framework based on McKinsey's strategic thinking model, we will be able to appreciate the strategic directions that organizations are taking these days, and the future direction also that we must appreciate, so that we can be able to leverage competitive advantage in a number of ways and the things that we do. So there are technological innovations that must be reconfigured in a business model. And so we are today examining the case of ShopRiteX as a way of coming up with a discourse that illustrates the kind of pragmatic applications of AI-driven technologies, particularly with relevance to the retail industry, and also how we can use that to do a number of things. And I think those are the key things that we will, the rest of the story, I think, becomes easier to deal with as we proceed with the discussion. Now, let's look at this graphical illustration. As you can see there, the world where AI is a talk, and people are using AI in sports, in hospitality, tourism, they're using it in higher education, they're using it in the banking sector. There are a lot of areas in the business world which have been impacted in a great extent by AI. And so AI is impacting so many areas in life. ranging from scientific, business, commercial, and so on. And so we see an interesting picture here. Now, this particular picture that you see is a futuristic city space where digital data will flow as if it is flowing through a highway. It's flowing through some major roads. Data is flowing from enterprise A to enterprise B, from one bank to another bank, from one higher education institution to another higher education institution. So this now creates a digital economy, because the digital economy is being reshaped because of the access to data that we currently have. The digital economy is reshaping the way we understand our business models globally. Our business models are getting reconfigured on a daily basis because of access to data and, more importantly, the way digital business is growing. So we see now companies now taking advantage of that. They are leveraging artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning to gain a competitive edge. I will explain, just will give some highlights shortly on these components of AI, especially when you look at big data and machine learning. And then we use this now to come up with a kind of a strategy design. Our strategy must integrate technological innovations to ensure that there's sustainability. We want to get competitive advantage because of the access to data. We want to ensure then that we manage our business in a better way. So this is the reason why in a digital economy, we must be able to look at that. So what is the significance of this? To guide us through our discussion and to understand the case that we have today, it's important for us to look at the components of McKinsey's strategy framework. This is the story that I was given, that when you look at the McKinsey strategy framework, it has got interesting and important significance in the digital business world. What we see from there is that the core concept of McKinsey strategy framework is something that you already know. It has got those 7 S's that you know very well: strategy, structure, systems, shared values, style, staff, and skills. And all those things are things that we'll be able to understand. And so I think one of the key things that we see here is that with this kind of strategy structure, we see ourselves being able to understand clearly what kind of a strategy we have in an organization, the structures that come with it, so that we have a structure which supports the strategy that has been defined. And then the systems then oil up things and make things happen. Some of them are systems of different kinds, including different computer systems, and then shared values and styles and so on. These are some of the important elements of the McKinsey framework. This framework is very, very important. Now, we must look at this framework now in the context of digital business. What does this mean? Our talk is about digital business. So McKinsey's framework is what we understand generally for any business, whether it's digital or not digital. All those 7 S's are always important in ensuring that when you come up with a strategic plan, we must be able to implement that strategic plan using and getting guidance from McKinsey's framework. But in the concept of a business, digital business, we must then see how that adds value and how that is managed in a way. So we see this McKinsey 7S framework enabling us to get strategic success, making strategic success as a kind of systemic alignment, strategic success which is embedded in everything, that we don't see any gaps. There must be a seamless integration from the strategy, structure, systems, shared value, style, until we come to skills. There must be that kind of seamless integration if we use it well. Now, in the digital world, the significance of this is that when we look at strategy in the digital context, what we are looking for is a customer-centric value creation where we emphasize the importance of a customer. so that the digital platforms and ecosystems that support the structure are part of the strategy. We have a strategy that has that customer-centric. The customer could be the student, or could be an employee, or a customer, or anyone else, but the customer-centric aspects are important. The structure in the digital business world must also be agile, cross-functional, to an extent that we are able to get responsiveness that is enhanced in a number of ways. The systems, therefore, this is at the systems level. That's where we now bring in AI, a digital, first mindset. Then with a style, where in the way we approach now the leadership, we are promoting transformational leadership, which enables change and resilience. That's the kind of style that is quite significantly important in this kind of approach. And then the staff then must invest in digital skills and competencies and attitudes, so that we have a digital talent pipeline which runs many things. Because this particular pipeline is important for the success of any digital business. So these are the important issues that, as we look at McKinsey strategic framework from a digital perspective, we see what we're sharing with you on the right-hand side, so that we focus on the things that do matter. So what is the role of technology in business? Technology is an enabler to any particular process or a function of a business. It's an enabler, just like employees or human beings, just like the infrastructure. Those are key enablers in an organization. If you're running a business, you need the key enablers like technology. And as we look at this in the context of artificial intelligence, let's have in mind and also understand that with artificial intelligence, we can come up with analytics, some graphical illustrations of the data that we have, which makes it even easier for us to intervene as and when it becomes important. We really see everything that is happening in a business. So the role of business, the role of technology in a business strategy is one where we are using technology to create a dashboard, bring in data in a real-time fashion, driven by artificial intelligence and specific analytics that come in, so that we see the benefit of using a technology in making us see the dashboard from time to time. So there are three issues that are important. The first thing is that when we use artificial intelligence and machine learning, it enables us to understand what has happened, why things are happening in our organization, and the future, we should be able to make a forecast and a predictive analytics coming out of that. That's the most important thing and the starting point. That's where machine learning comes in as the background and mathematical approach to it. Big data analytics now unpacks the analytics part of it. It unpacks that so that we extract the patterns and the trends and insights that are important, so that from the vast volumes of data which we are getting from heterogeneous sources, we can be able to come up with patterns and trends and make decisions. So this is why big data analytics comes in. As we deal with these issues in big data analytics, extracting patterns and trends, we should then be able to take advantage of infrastructure available, like cloud computing, where data and other resources can be shared, can be accessed from anywhere else in the world, and also make use of object-oriented databases, particularly when we're dealing, as we begin to store larger volumes of data. Colleagues, I think at this time, let me just explain a few things that are important so that we appreciate the important role carried by those two legs of artificial intelligence. The big data analytics part of it, as you can see on that chart, enables us to understand what has happened. This is the descriptive analytics. It describes pictorially, in a summative way, what has happened. It makes us understand what is going on in our organization. We can then be able also to do some diagnostic aspect to understand why certain things happened. We ask the questions and we can get answers. The predictive analytics makes us be able to use regression models and other methods of making a forecast in the future and what is going to happen. And then in the end, we move towards prescriptive analytics, which enables us to come up with a scenario of how we can make things happen even in the future. So we have to look at the optimization of basic information and data and making it, taking us into the future. As we use data in that way, we must be conscious of the security features, protecting the data. That's where cybersecurity comes in. Cybersecurity is all about putting measures to protect and preserve the systems, technologies that are available. And this is why then we bring in machine learning in that kind of context, so that we use data analytics. So those are the important elements of it. Of course, artificial intelligence generally is all about simulating a computer, getting the intelligence that we find from the best machines. The McKinsey's model has got 4 important lenses. As we look at our business, what is of interest to any corporates these days are these 4 lenses. The financial lens is critical in enabling us to understand things from the financial perspective, whether we're getting a return of investment, whether we're making losses, whether we are, so we can be able to make decisions looking at the financial lens, because then we can also see what is going on from the financial perspective. We also have the marketing lens, where we can understand what is going on the market, and also we want to pick up and put much emphasis on leveraging competitive advantage. How are we doing versus competition? Where are we losing ground? Where are we losing the market share? How we can increase the market share over a certain period of time? The financial lens enables us to understand that. Through these 4 lenses that come out of McKinsey's model, the market lens is very important, enabling us to identifying the opportunities that are available, market segmentation that is critical and for now and in the future. And when once we understand the market lens, we can then use technology and leverage it correctly so that we get a competitive advantage. So leveraging digital transformation in a sustainable manner is what the key issue is all about. This is what thing that we want to be able to look at. And operationally, we want also to be able to see how we align our resources, align our operations, keep the operations as efficient and as effective as possible using AI, so that we don't waste resources, but to also use resources optimally. And so we have those 4 lenses coming from McKinsey's model, which are emphasized in this way. Now, the story that we are discussing now is focusing on applying this as a case study, because there's this retail outlet called ShopRite Holdings, which has got ShopRiteX, that is a kind of an interesting case study where artificial intelligence has been used. And I want you to imagine, as you can see on that graphical illustration, the kind of a retail, if you go to Pick and Pay or any of these retail outlets, you are able to see grocery items of different kinds on the floor, on the various shelves in different areas, shelf by shelf, as you can see there. But this is where we are saying now the amazing capabilities of AI is that it can enable us, even in retail, to analyze customer shopping habits. You understand the behavior of the customer, you understand the interest. Sometimes the customer buys tomatoes, but because he has bought tomatoes, he or she then thinks, no, because I bought tomatoes, the next thing I need are onions. So we must then ensure then that the other related items are close by and within reach. So ShopRiteX is one such organization that used AI in this particular case study, where technology and innovation were used to redefine the grocery retail. We have understood grocery retail in the old way in many ways, but this is now changing. The products are still there, physical products, but they are using technology to make us understand what is going on. So we then have, and what comes out of the understanding of digital business in this sense of ShopRite is then the precision retailing, where AI-driven customer insights, AI-driven driven interest in patterns and trends become important. So if those are brought to attention, it becomes easier to zero in and understand what comes out of it. So in data science and technology, what we are simply doing is we are applying the concepts of data science and technology in a retail setup so that we enhance the customer engagement and efficiency. We improve the customer satisfaction. We must be in the shoes and understand the mindset of a customer at any time, wherever they are. And this is why ShopRiteX is an example of an organization that has successfully used AI or integrated AI in its digital business. As you deal with large volumes of data and things become more complex, sometimes it's not just the data about transactions that are recorded at any till point, at Pick and Pay, ShopRite, or anything else. But we also have to consider that there are also videos and images. So the whole scene becomes very complex. The object-oriented database is a concept in computer science that is used to define specific objects or different types, whether it's ordinary text data or videos or images or many other kind of things. Different dimensions are put together. And this is particularly important in coming up with a repository of data. Because when data becomes huge in volumes, we have to think of technically the best ways of storing such large volumes of data. And must also be able to retrieve it as and when it's required. So the conceptual diagram that you are seeing there is an AI-driven object-oriented database where we store data which is related in a way we can be able to see all those objects in different ways. Any data in an organization, what we did, we put it in this particular fashion. The heterogeneous data can be managed and understood. So we can make use of AI-driven databases. Databases simply are repositories of data where we understand the attributes and the patterns that comes from there. And in terms of applications, this concept of object-oriented databases enables us to segment customers with certain interests and understand the supply chain. Even when there are cases going on, possibilities of fraud taking place and so on, we can be able to look at that. One good example that we see here in this business case is on how ShopRiteX uses AI for shopper behavior analysis. You can be able to understand or analyze the behavior of customers or shoppers using technology, and where the volumes of data are quite massive, then object-oriented databases will give us the capacity for storage that can keep the data for a very long time, and we end up with a data warehouse which can be used in a number of ways. So that's on the data side where we use object-oriented databases. But computationally, we are using machine learning as a way or a method of coming up with algorithms or approaches that can enable us to drill down, do the statistical analysis, pick up the patterns, manipulate the data we want. When we look at predictive analytics is simply using machine learning as an engine to derive and generate graphical displays. As you can see on the screen there at the top right hand, there are some graphs and charts. And the left-hand side, you can be able to see on the map, and you come to the left-hand side, there are different charts where certain variables can also be displayed, and their behavior and patterns can be easily understood from different perspectives. This is where machine learning becomes important, because machine learning is a mathematical approach driven by algorithms that enables us to manipulate the data using variables that we define and in the way that we want things to happen. So a machine learning model visualizes shopping trends where we can pick, for example, the customer behavior prediction. We can just, as we talk of linear regression, or the real world is not linear regression. The real world is often more non-linear and more complex. So we can be able to predict mathematically the way those variables behave and can be able to see what's going to happen next. So personalized marketing can come in, and we can look at targeted recommendations using machine learning algorithms. We can also manage the inventory, because one of the key things that is important in retail is inventory management. inventory management requires us to make use of predictive analytics to see which particular products are likely going to get finished on the shelves earlier than anticipated. And so we then take appropriate measures to ensure then that those items are in stock earlier than we would have expected. So we are using machine learning to understand and manage the customer behavior, marketing trends, as well as also inventory management, so that among other things, we are in charge and in control of many things that are critical in business. How, what is the future going to look like? You see, there are future trends in digital business that I would want us to appreciate. The way we handle transactions is changing these days. We now talk of blockchain technology and other methods that are coming in, that even the way the financial transactions are handled and the way money moves from the banks into the retail to the customer's account and vice versa, this is getting more complicated and interesting, and it brings in areas of specialization like blockchain technology, where the transactions as they are recorded, put in a kind of distributed ledger. And so we see ourselves, as you can see in this particular diagram, a digital commerce landscape where physical products together with the digital products can be managed mentally, and we can make use of artificial intelligence as a way of making us link each physical product with a digital product. And once it becomes a digital product, it makes it easier to manage the automation and specific personalization that you may want as a customer. So the future trend that is coming through now, as we move more going into the immediate future now, there will be more of AI-driven automation in retail, in other areas of life. AI-driven automation is becoming a reality, even supported by robotics where we can. And another angle that I mentioned earlier on is blockchain technology, coming together cybersecurity concerning the business transactions. We will be able to bypass a lot of restrictions that are often given by central banks in many ways. And the role of the bank itself also is getting reduced. That's why with the blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies, all those new technologies are coming in as part of the AI revolution. And so this is impacting many things. In the future, we talk of a metaverse. A metaverse is an interconnected digital world where the future, as we use technology more and more, we get more immersed deep into technology, where a lot of technological-driven things, even virtual reality and many other things, come into force. So this is the future. So we are seeing a future of blockchain, AI automation, a future where we see a metaverse, as well as also other issues to do with blockchain technology. The concept of blockchain, as I illustrated here, is one way. If you look at from the left there, top left, we've got a customer A who wants to send money to a person B. So the transaction will be represented by a block, and that block is broadcast through the network. And throughout the network, there are participants who look at it and they agree on how to validate the transaction based on certain rules. And through the process, appropriate parameters are then used to confirm the authenticity of the transaction. So then the block is created and added to that, and in the end, money is then transferred correctly from computer A to computer B, or from user A to user B, but it traverses through a network where a lot of checks are done, where certain blocks are appropriate to giving the assurance that this is a genuine transaction, it's not a fictitious thing. Those things are also managed. Blockchain technology checks all that in case people try to manipulate certain things in between. Blockchain technology eliminates completely possibilities of fraud. And so that is why it's important to appreciate blockchain technology. So this is the future. When it comes to transactions, blockchain technology is coming in to revolutionize as part of the artificial intelligence generation or revolution. to see how we manage transactions in a certain way as we look at it. So it is essentially a blockchain. When you look at the blockchain, it is a data structure which stores records in the form of a big chain, which has got a header, and then a set component in the center, then it's got a tail at the very end. Each particular data or description of data concerning transaction must always have a header, then the central portion, and then the legs. So this is how the digital ledger is put in place. So a blockchain is a type of a distributed ledger technology where the transactions are recorded as they occur, but they are recorded in such a manner that cryptography comes in, ways of tightening security, which use only keys agreed between the sender and the receiver are then used. That's why cryptography comes in to put a signature to say it's authentic. And cryptocurrency now becomes the digital currency that is used in blockchain technology. Once you agree on the security measures, the digital value relates very well to the actual monetary value of what one is looking at any given moment. So as we look at now the conclusion of the central aspects before we start the discussion, it's important for us to see in this particular picture the future that we're driving into as we use digital business in the correct way. As you can see there, that artificial intelligence is being driven and supported by big data, machine learning, and other related things that come with it. It is also the kind of technology in future where the physical world is getting so much linked with the digital world that sometimes in future, as we go into the future, it may be difficult to tell the difference because AI-driven digital transformation is occurring in many businesses. Yes, we can get physical trucks carrying goods from point A to point B, but the whole supply chain is being managed using technology, and AI-driven approaches can make us manage that supply chain effectively so that we can be able to see the most efficient way of ensuring that from the time a customer places an order until that order is fulfilled or delivered, which is the most important thing in the supply chain. We use technology to manage that effectively. So it is imperative that we use digital technology or AI-driven methods to ensure then that we leverage competitive advantage. And the emphasis here is that AI, big data, and machine learning are those important legs and important tools that we need to use to revolutionize the strategy design. When you're designing or looking at a strategy in an organization these days, and as you look into the future, AI, big data, and machine learning have become important tools that are available. They're not there to replace people, but they are there to make life easier. They make us do the business in a better way. So companies are focusing now on adapting to data-driven strategies. The reason why I thought of coming, why Dr. Doug allowed me to come and chat with you, is to emphasize that there are data-driven strategies that are supported by AI that we need to be conscious of, encourage, and also work with and understand the kind of future that we are in concerning the future. So there are questions that we are going to be discussing shortly. But after all that is said, just remember this picture in case you forget everything that I've said from the beginning. I've been talking for, I think, close to 40 minutes now, almost getting close to 40 minutes, and I'm finishing now. But I want us to see that, look at this particular picture where AI, as we integrate it well, we must also understand a few things around it. But however, as you use artificial intelligence, there are certain ethical considerations that I will finish off as a comment before we go into the details of some of the specific questions. Even as we answer those questions, the issue of ethics and how we may use artificial intelligence always comes in, just like every other sector that is concerned. So we see a picture here of a professional panel that is discussing the future of artificial intelligence, just like this particular group of this session. We are discussing artificial intelligence in digital business strategy. That is discussion. And so such discussions are going on everywhere, all over the world. And people deal with appropriate policies for AI. They deal with also ethical considerations. Now, there are three questions that are important. The first question that we must address now is how can businesses integrate AI into their strategy effectively? Okay? How do we effectively integrate AI into the strategy of an organization? So that link between the strategy and AI is critical. And that is the first question that we are going to be discussing and looking at. Maybe already have the answers. The second question is, what are the ethical considerations of AI in digital business? Because the issue of ethics always comes in whenever people are using AI, and people are always concerned about the ethics. And so we have to put our measures and policies and approaches to ensure then that those ethical considerations are also taken on board. Then the third question is, how can ShopRiteX or ShopRite Holdings further leverage AI for sustainable growth? So instead of ShopRiteX or ShopRite Holdings, you can replace this with any of your organizations. How can your organization further leverage AI for sustainable growth? How can you continue to monotonically increase your market share in an environment where there's competition, whether you're a bank or retail outlet, or there's competition everywhere? What is it that you should do to ensure then that your market share grows from time to time? So those are the questions that we're looking at. Right, as we pause and look at this, we breathe a little, but the first question was, how can businesses integrate AI into their strategy? So that is the question. What do you think about that? So I've got some little ideas around that question, which you may agree with. I think one of the first things that is important is that for us to integrate AI into a business strategy, we must align AI with the strategic objectives. We look at our strategic objectives and look at each one of those strategic objectives and define it clearly in terms of its outcomes, in terms of its track and direction, and then look at how AI can be used to impact that area, how we can deliver things that can add value. That's the first thing. As part of answering that same question, the next stage will be to establish the appropriate data structure, because for us to integrate AI in the business strategy, we must think about how data is going to be acquired, collected, and processed. So establishing a data infrastructure is an important step as well, because we can pick up the data sets and see the data assets, invest in data governance. The third step would be to build digital and human capabilities. Our interest here is to look at skills and competencies and attitudes. Not everyone has to be a computer scientist, but let's look at the basic user. They need the basic training, and we upgrade it from time to time, get them more comfortable in terms of talent and skills and development, so that they can operate cross-functionally and collaborate in a number of ways. The fourth step is further. Now, once the people have got skills, we can now embed artificial intelligence into the core processes. Because when the employees and staff members are now familiar with AI, it becomes easier for us to run the processes efficiently and in a better way. So there will be that operational integration. And once we have that at an organizational level, governance issues and ethics now become important, because we want to look at ethical AI principles, the strategic oversight, the way we manage data and certain approaches, and guided by the policies that we have. You see, in South Africa, we have a national AI policy, which can be used to guide certain things you want to do in an organization. So we can use that to start the governance approaches, then look at also measure and scale certain things appropriately. So we can come up with performance metrics where key performance indicators can be defined for an organization or any particular business, so that we understand what is coming out of whether we are getting a return on investment as we analyze and look at these KPIs, how your business is performing. Those are the issues that are critical. So that was the first question where I thought of sharing with you those 6 elements in trying to answer that question. Of course, you can answer it. I know you have the full answers, but I thought of sharing that with you. Then the ethical consideration of AI in digital business requires us to take a certain approach concerning ethics. The transparency on how we are using AI and why we are using AI is important, so that the AI systems must be used in a manner which is transparent in the operations and the way we do business. And the rationale must also be very clear, so that we have accountability which is clearly defined. Issues of fairness and non-discrimination are important elements of the ethics equation, because when we use algorithms which are designed and tested to avoid any bias, you find then we can avoid cases of unnecessary bias, because algorithms don't know any particular person or a relative or friend. That's why fairness can easily come in. Accountability and responsibility is an important consideration in the ethics issue, because we want clear accountability frameworks. We must identify who is responsible for the AI decisions and the consequences that come with it. I think those things are important, so that we have mechanisms to avoid any harm or malfunction of equipment in a factory or retail outlets, or things getting bad or worse. The privacy and data protection is important, because a lot of data about concerning customers is collected all the time. What happens to the data? How secure is that data? Can that data be abused or misused for other things? So we need to look at rigorous safeguards against misuse and breaches of concerning data. Safety and security are also important issues with regards to data, especially in AI. The systems must be robust, they must be secure. That's why investment in cybersecurity is important, because they're dealing with data that is sensitive. Human-centered design means, as we use AI, we must understand that we are not using AI as we do in robotics, but we are dealing with human beings who are interfacing with the technology. And as human beings interface, so we must have human-centered aspects, so that human capabilities are pronounced and they will not be replaced by automation. Sustainability and social good is also an important area of ethical considerations. So the ethical considerations looks at all these issues, all these dimensions are critical in helping us to understand how we can ensure then that those considerations are put in place. And then the third question, or the last question, I'd ask it how ShopRite Holdings can leverage AI for sustainable growth. Well, these are some of the ideas you may put in, you may consider. For example, in this particular case study, an intelligent supply chain can be put in place, which has got predictive logistics, real-time inventory management, and automatic restocking that can be used in this retail. Hyper-personalized customer engagement is critical, so that we deliver things to particular tastes of customers. And the ethical AI, trust-based data governance, this enables us to have robust data ethics frameworks that are critical. And for this organization, a smart environmental sustainability practice supported by appropriate algorithms that are related to ESG and their commitments, I think, are important issues that we should be looking at. Workforce management or augmentation in human-centered AI are areas of emphasis. This is a real organization that is operating like Pick and Pay, and so you can be able to look at workforce augmentation, fill in the gaps, and also train people. Strategic data monetization, where we want to look at how we manage the data and unlock new revenue streams from the data that we have and make the business grow through that way. So AI is being used and can continue to be used by ShopRite to enhance the strategic foresight, to look at competitive intelligence, to know when to bring in a new product, how to do it in a manner that changes the community or the whole environment. The real-time market trend analysis becomes important, as we look at all those kind of things. So these are the issues. I thought of throwing in the ideas around those three questions. But I think in your own time, as you study, as you relate, as you look at these things, you may be able to answer the questions more precisely. What I've done right now is just to give you the elements and structures of how best we can answer those three important questions that we are looking at as part of the discussion. So we're coming now to the end as we look at the conclusion of this World Talk, which has gone on now for 50 minutes. I'll open the floor for discussions shortly, and we're at that point where we're just finishing off. But I think we started off by talking of McKinsey's framework. As one of the, as we introduce AI, the big data and machine learning, it's important to see how the McKinsey's framework can guide us conceptually on how digital transformation of an enterprise can be done holistically, so that we can look at the seamless integration from the strategy through systems, skills, values, and all that until we go to the bottom. And so that strategic integration is critical. But I also mentioned in this talk that integrating AI into business is not just a technological initiative, but it is also a transformative approach now, which must be done in the journey that requires leadership alignment, leadership understanding, and also a lot of cultural readiness and preparedness, so that we see the value-adding contribution of technology. As we use AI, I want us to remember that ethical issues are always important. Ethical AI in digital business is not just a regulatory requirement, but is also a strategic imperative. So we have to ensure and we put in place appropriate measures to ensure that those things are put in place. And the example of ShopRite Holdings, this is one good story of an organization that stands as the nexus of technological innovation and strategic foresight. A lot of retail businesses and other businesses in other sectors have embraced the use of AI so well, and they're prepared that. So the last word simply is that, I just want to thank all of you for the opportunity to come and talk to you about digital business strategy and how AI can be used to integrate that, and appreciating that the contemporary digital economy uses AI with machine learning and big data analytics to make us understand and pick the data so that we make data-driven decisions, like what ShopRiteX has successfully done, and it has emerged as a transformative paradigm that has reconfigured many things. And we can also equally reconfigure our business models using the same approach. There are a lot of organizations. I think some of you know of Amazon.com. If you look at and study a lot of things about Amazon.com, how it has succeeded over the years and how it did well, you pick up a lot of things on how technology and AI in particular has been instrumental in looking at that. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the end. I can open this briefly to a few issues that require clarification or other points. I will share this material with Dr. Doug, and I'm just so happy that I was able to talk to you today. So if there are any one or two burning issues, we can talk about those now. You can just go ahead to ask any questions that you may have. This is now a general talk. We can always guide ourselves with specific issues also based on that. So I open the floor. I may not be able to see any hands because of my screen. I may not be able to see every hand there. So if you have got any question, please feel free, just take the floor and ask any issues which you want clarified or simplified. This talk was purely purposed to make us appreciate the digital business strategy using AI and how it can be integrated effectively using machine learning and big data analytics. Okay. All right. Well, I see some appreciation. Trying to see how best I can I don't know whether you're able to see the slides throughout.
Yes, we're able, Prof.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being able to see the slides. And these slides, you know, I've recorded this presentation. And the fact that it is recorded at any time, you can go through it in your own time, go through it, understand in case I moved pretty fast. But you can be able to go through it because this is already recorded. So you can access this material. And I think that would be a good thing. I don't seem to see any question on the chat, and I've not had any specific issue now on coming directly. I think what remains for me is to thank you all for attending this session. I hope it has been an eye-opener, and I hope it has also addressed certain issues that Dr. Doug wanted me to share with you. I think I should come again another time or another topic or title. I'll be very much delighted to come and give talks on technology and digital business in any way as and when it is required. So thank you so much. Dr. Doug, if you are still in there, if you have got any questions or issues or comments before I move on. Okay, it looks like Dr. Doug has left. It's okay. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming tonight for this session and this talk. The material is available. You can access it and you can go through it as and when you want to access it. Thank you. So bye for now. Thank you so much. And I appreciate Dr. Doug's arrangement and all you good colleagues for giving me the opportunity to come and talk to you. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all, good people. Thank you, Kellan. I see you are attending. Thank you. And other colleagues I could I've been able to recognize your names. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Sorry, Prof?
So I was just delighted to see you, see your name there. Thank you for attending. And thank you.
No, that's Prof. Thanks, Prof.
All right, you're welcome. All right, so okay, bye for now. So we just stop the session now.